So I'm sure this study came as no surprise to you that men are and women are women, but and no matter how many hormones that you pump them with, but what does it say about our society that we even have to ask this question in the first place of what constitutes a man and what constitutes a woman?
Right. So that is, I mean, if we want to really follow science, what the biology is, obviously these are facts that we have two sexes, and you can't change your sex no more than you can change your race or your national origin. This is why we call these traits immutable, that are not movable. They stay with you for life. You have an X chromosome and a Y chromosome, and that's not going to change. And it is obviously a threat to women's sports, to girls who want to take part in sports, to have to compete against other athletes who are not born women, because they're going to have that advantage. The paper is not surprising.
And it just seems like identity politics itself, coming from the left, has really corrupted and rotted out all of our institutions, even science. And science is supposed to be it's supposed to be rational, it's supposed to be logical. And usually what we hear from the science crowd is that trans women are just as womanly, I guess, as biological women. So talk to me a little bit more about the left's identity politics and how it really just runs rampant throughout all of our institutions.
Yeah, it's everywhere, and it's going to be everywhere in the new year as well. This is why I wrote my book, The Plot to Change America, because what it is, it just breaks everything, all of society, into a number of categories, whether they're on the immutable characteristics I name, whether they're based on race, sex, national origin, or even gender or gender identity or sexual orientation, and imbues them with degrees of victimhood, instills the sense of grievances in the members of the categories. And we see this across the spectrum on the right and the left, but it is a very dangerous thing to do, because what we want to have is a nation where people, we all have different backgrounds and different sexes and all that is recognizable and good, and we shouldn't deny our histories, but we also should also understand that we're all Americans, we're all compatriots with a shared sense of purposes. And that is why I find identity politics so dangerous, because once all of America starts to practice it, it is going to be bad for all of society.
And usually what we hear from the far left is that gender itself, and they even try and make the argument sex, but specifically gender is not a binary. It's not either male or female. We all exist somewhere on some silly spectrum that they like to present to law. And yet earlier this week in Congress, we saw a preacher, a congressman, go up and he gave a prayer, I'm sure you heard it, where he concluded with amen and a woman. And it's kind of funny he didn't mention all the other dozens and hundreds of other genders that the left tries to tell us also exist. In fact, with him trying to make a feminist statement actually reinforced the idea of a gender binary of men and women.
Yeah, that was Representative Emanuel Cleaver of Missouri who said that. Let me just go back briefly to what you said. They actually, the left also says sex is on a spectrum. Sex is not on a spectrum. We have two sexes. There are some people, a infinitesimally small part of society, that have traits from both, but that they're very, very, very tiny as a percentage of the whole population, of the base population. This Congressman Emanuel Cleaver, who started this, he really, first of all, amen has something to do with the word men. It's a Hebrew word that means and so be it. It is used throughout the Bible. It is really identity politics run amok, just like they striking out of the house rules words such as mother or father or sister or brother, because they're gender specific or sex specific. That is also nuts on steroids. The word mother, by the way, they have done marketing studies on this. It's one of the most emotive words in the English language. To elide this word, the word mother, and to say we're not going to use it in the rules for the House of Representatives. Again, I just don't know where to begin.